سعد الدين الحريري رئيسا لمجلس الوزراء.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast here on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's headlines. Prime Minister Saad Hariri's cabinet overwhelmingly wins a parliament vote of confidence with 87 votes in favor. A bomb rips through a minibus in the northern Bekaa Valley town of Al Ain, killing Deputy Mayor Khalid Houri and critically wounding his brother. And Turkey and Russia agree on a countrywide ceasefire plan for Syria, which could come into effect starting midnight local time. Prime Minister Saad Hariri's cabinet overwhelmingly won a parliament vote of confidence a day after lawmakers began debating its policy statement. Hariri, who formed his 30-member cabinet earlier this month, said there had been doubts when President Michel Aoun won the election. The cabinet was formed, however, and the policy statement was drafted in record time. There's positivity and cooperation in the country after political factions reached the conviction that we could not move forward without agreement and consensus, Hariri said, adding that the political breakthrough was a local decision rather than a regional agreement. The parliament voted 87-4 in support of the fledgling government, while only one member abstained. The Premier explained on Tuesday that the cabinet's slogan would be restoring confidence. A bomb has ripped through a minibus in the northern Bekaa Valley town of Al Ain in East Lebanon, killing Deputy Mayor Khalid Houri and critically wounding his brother. He was rushed to a nearby hospital for treatment. A source says the bomb was under the driver's seat when it went off. Military cordoned off the area as a military expert inspected the scene of the blast, which took place at around 6:30 a.m. this morning. Military police opened an investigation into the incident. President Michel Aoun has expressed solidarity with the Lebanese security agencies, describing them as the symbol of sovereignty. Aoun's support was expressed during a separate meeting with internal security forces and the Lebanese army delegations. The president said the army was a symbol of sovereignty and independence. Turkey and Russia have agreed on a nationwide ceasefire plan for Syria, except for areas where government forces are battling armed groups declared as terrorist organizations by the UN. This would most certainly exclude the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant group known as ISIL and Jabhat Fatah al-Sham, the group formerly known as the Nusra Front. Turkey's state-run news agency Anadolu reported that a ceasefire plan had been submitted to Syria's warring parties and could come into force as soon as midnight local time. Samir Nashar, a Syrian opposition figure, said there were tremendous efforts being exerted by the Turkish government to implement such a ceasefire with the help of an Arab country before a proposed meeting takes place in Kazakhstan. Coming up next, fans mourn the death of Star Wars actress Carrie Fisher. Stay tuned. Welcome back. UN Secretary-General Ban Kimoon says when the Security Council members are united, they could become very strong to deliver what is necessary for those people who are in need. In an exclusive interview with CCTV, the outgoing UN chief said there are also paralyzed cases. Let's hear him.
The Security Council, you mentioned it, operates on a consensus model. One country is able to overrule the other four. With Syria and other conflicts in mind, do you think that that model now needs to be rethought quickly?
Yes, when Security Council members are united, they could become very strong and to deliver what is necessary for those people who need. But often we have seen Security Council has been paralyzed and because of this decision-making process, not to mention veto power held by 5 permanent members of the Security Council. The other decisions are normally should be taken by full unanimity. In such a case, not to mention the adopting resolution, but they cannot even adopt the presidential statement or even press statement. That really paralyzes the Security Council. In the meantime, when they are paralyzed, it's the people on the ground whose human rights are not protected.
The Italian government is likely to put in around 6.5 billion euros to rescue the country's third biggest lender, Monte dei Paschi di Siena, more than initially expected. The higher cost of the state rescue is due to the fact that the European Central Bank has revised the bank's capital shortfall to 8.8 billion euros from a previous estimate of 5 billion euros. More details in this report.
Christmas may be over, but the problems for Italy's oldest bank aren't. Just last week, Italy's government approved a €20 billion rescue fund for its ailing banks. Now it's set to pump around €6.5 billion into Monte dei Paschi. That's a 70% stake, and more than first thought. It comes after the ECB identified a shortfall of €3.8 billion, taking the total needed to €8.8 billion. Allowing the lender to fail could have destabilised a banking sector still in need of reform.
They need to separate all the bad debts, not just of Monte dei Paschi. There is other bad debt as well. They have to clean up the balance sheets, separate out the bad debt, create asset managed vehicles to redeem as much value as they can from non-performing loans, separated from the good banks. Only once you've got healthy banks that are prepared to lend again will you get that fuel for a proper recovery in Italy.
Monte dei Paschi came bottom in ECB stress tests last summer, and it recently failed to win investor backing for a life-saving capital increase. But a full bailout isn't an option under new European rules. Institutional investors must share some of the pain, so €2.3 billion is likely to come from a bond-to-share swap. Shares and securities in the bank have been suspended from trading until full details of the rescue scheme are made clear. That includes the price at which the government will buy the bank's shares.
A bomb attack targeted a member of Afghanistan's parliament in the capital, Kabul, wounding him and several other people, according to officials. Mia Wormersley reports.
Targeting a member of parliament in Afghanistan, this bomb blast in the capital, Kabul, aimed at Fakhuri Behishti, a member of parliament from Bamiyan province. He, his son and several others were wounded in the blast, according to security officials.
It was 8 o'clock in the morning and I was drinking tea in my shop when I heard an explosion. My shop's windows were broken. It was a horrible situation. Everyone was scared and they were running away.
There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack. It destroyed the vehicle in which Behishti was travelling, badly damaging other vehicles and shattering the windows of nearby shops. Last week, another member of parliament was targeted by a suicide bomber who killed 7 people. The politician survived.
2016 seems to be a tragic year for celebrities. Actress Carrie Fisher, who rose to fame as Princess Leia in the Star Wars films, has died aged 60. Fisher, a mental health advocate who spoke about her own struggles with bipolar disorder and cocaine addiction, had reportedly suffered a heart attack last Friday as she flew into Los Angeles. The daughter of actor Debbie Reynolds and the late singer Eddie Fisher had been returning from England, where she was shooting the 3rd season of the British sitcom Catastrophe.
Carrie Fisher, internationally known for her role as Princess Leia, has died, according to her family's publicist. The Star Wars star suffered a cardiac episode on a flight from London to Los Angeles on Friday. She was rushed to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center in critical condition, with her mother, actress Debbie Reynolds, later saying she was stable.
But we have a shared experience. And
after her Star Wars role, Fisher endured drug addiction and stormy romances with show business heavyweights. She again made headlines in November, saying she carried on a 3-month love affair in 1976 with her Star Wars romantic lead Harrison Ford. The woman forever known as Princess Leia died at 60 years of age.
Fans in New York City's Times Square are mourning Carrie Fisher's death. Princess Leia was part of my first childhood crushes, one man says. Hear the reactions.
I mean, I'm kind of like messed up, you know, it comes right on the heels of George Michael. It seems like all the idols and icons of my youth are passing away. Princess Leia was probably my first childhood crush, as I'm sure many of us, and it was so great to see her in The Force Awakens. You know, I just feel really sad.
The princess is gone. There'll be nobody like her ever again.
I was just crushed. You tell me that. Yeah, she was the most. Last year's one, she was awesome. She came back and was terrific. And then this recent one, she was a computer-generated young version. So that's kind of a cool way to go, I guess.
Oh my gosh, she was a big part of my childhood as Princess Leia. You know, so I mean, she was just a great icon, and she will definitely be missed for sure.
Yeah, 2016 has been real rough, you know. Just a tough year. Hopefully next year it'll get better, you know. We lost a lot of legends this year.
Still in New York City, workers are installing the last of the 288 Waterford crystal triangles onto the iconic Times Square New Year's Eve ball in preparation for 2017. More details in this report.
They're installing them as we watch.
It's the countdown to the New Year's Eve countdown, and workers are carefully assembling the key elements to the Times Square ball drop. 288 new Waterford crystal triangles will decorate the infamous ball. And this year, the triangular pieces feature a new design for 2017 called The Gift of Kindness.
The Waterford theme of The Gift of Kindness is really perfect for this year, because I think 2016 has been a tough year, and it always hasn't been kind. You know, just the larger events in the world, things like Brexit, our divisive presidential election, debates in Europe about what to do with refugees. It's been a tough year. So the theme of kindness on the small scale and on the large scale is really important.
A large-scale idea for a large-scale crystal ball. It's said to weigh more than 11,000 pounds and is covered in a total of 2,688 Waterford crystal triangles. More than 1 million people are expected in Times Square to ring in the new year. And if Waterford has its way, to sparkle with kindness going forward into 2017.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our top stories. Prime Minister Saad Hariri's cabinet overwhelmingly wins a parliament vote of confidence with 87 votes in favor. A bomb rips through a minibus in the northern Bekaa Valley town of Al Ain, killing Deputy Mayor Khalid Houdi and critically wounding his brother. And Turkey and Russia agree on a nationwide ceasefire plan for Syria, which could come into effect starting midnight local time. Those are your headlines in English for today. I'm Linda Tamim, and I'll see you again same time tomorrow. Take care.
سعد الدين الحريري رئيسا لمجلس الوزراء.